Kim again with HeIsReal.com, and today I want to talk about creating conflict in your story. Yay! No story is good enough without conflict. It just would be flat, right? I mean, life is full of conflict. We have conflict every day. And that's another thing that you guys we've talked about a personal journal, is write down conflicts and how you resolve them, because even when you're acting or you're writing, you'll be able to go back to that journal and you'll be able to pull from those experiences to know, really how to react to them or write them or whatever you're doing. So your conflict can be, subtle, or it could be grandiose. Now, if you're, writing the next Die Hard film, then you're going to need a big budget, and you're going to need, buildings blowing up or cars exploding, and of course your actors coming out completely unscathed, well, maybe a scratch on their forehead or something, and, a really witty line at the middle of it, We know the witty line, I'm not going to go there. But every protagonist will always need an antagonist. Or, of course you can go with something really subtle. I didn't touch on that. It doesn't always have to be so grandiose, especially for those of us with little to no budget. We want to be subtle. But your story can still be very, very powerful. Again, every protagonist needs an antagonist. So, always think about the battle between good and evil, two forces in constant opposition to taunt each other, until the final blow happens, Every story needs that to pull in, the constant manner in order to keep the plot interesting and entertaining. Without conflict, it's flat. Conflict can come from a character, from a force, from a disability, from a flaw, from a misunderstanding, a disaster, or any number of worldly or unworldly type of situations. So whether you're going to do this, write it yourself, or you're going to hire someone, it's important that everyone knows that your protagonist has an initial conflict and how it builds through the script. Remember, you have your first and second and third acts, always a resolution to a conflict at the end, and the middle, of course, is your protagonist going through the conflict, and the action starts at the beginning. I kind of did that backwards, but you got it. And how it is ultimately resolved. So any film that you review, you should always recognize the conflict and the steps that are taken to resolve it. I talked about E.T. and Avatar and a couple of other ones. Let's think about E.T. for instance. E.T., Elliot finds the alien, E.T. They've developed a really strong relationship. He hides him in his closet, or in his room. The conflict comes in because E.T. wants to go home. Now, granted, just even having an alien in your house is enough to cause conflict for any adult. And in this case, I guess, the villain would be the U.S. government trying to dissect this alien, but they realized they couldn't do it because he was directly affecting Elliot, so they couldn't operate, which was really good for E.T. Well, he gets better. The kids creatively bust him out of that, the bubble and everything that they had around him and the surveillance that they had. And, little did they know they would be able to, as they were riding their bikes, they'd be able to fly over the barrier, the police barrier, and go off into the woods where Elliot creatively came up with a way to communicate to E.T.'s family. They come and they get him, and he goes home. Now, granted, that's it in a nutshell, but you kind of get the idea of, the conflict. And it's important that your audience feels, understands, goes along, being taken on this journey, and it doesn't even think about the next step. I mean, you've watched movies that you're like, oh, gee, well, we've watched movies before. We get Netflix a lot, and sometimes the movies are a little boring. Not always, not because it's Netflix, but that was just what we've chosen. And sometimes I'll say to my husband, don't pause it, I need to go to the bathroom. I'm sure I can get what's going on. We watched a movie recently called The Chaperone, I think. And it was a kid's movie, but the plot was so one-dimensional. The characters were so one-dimensional. The acting was so one-dimensional. And I mean, I just pretty much knew what was going to happen, and I had to get up and, use the restroom and, I don't know, get some freshen my tea and whatever it is I needed to do. And I came back 10 minutes later and was know exactly what was going on. Nothing needed to be explained. I guess you can look at that as a good thing. But I know for me, I want my characters, I want my story, I want my conflict, to be something compelling enough to have someone pause it. And, I was like, wait a minute, pause that. I don't want to miss anything. I gotta go refresh my tea, I gotta get some snacks or whatever. I'd be able to go back and sit back down and go, okay, what's going on? So that's really, really important. So your conflict needs to be very plausible, yet unpredictable. Predictably unpredictable. Okay, that was an oxymoron, but I think you get the idea. So anyway, I hope this helps you guys, and we'll be talking again next week. And you can leave a comment, question, or concern down below here on YouTube, and go to our blog, heisreal.com, or contact me, Kim at heisreal.com. Talk to you later. Bye.